string of pearls, otherwise known as Senecio rhollianus, is a succulent plant, which means that it is full of backup moisture. A plant like this can live through periods of drought and not die because when it gets thirsty, it can sort of just pull off its own well. If one of these beads were to fall on the ground and you were to step on it, you would squash it like a water balloon. It's just bursting with moisture. There are pretty specific directions for watering a string of pearls, so I'm going to demonstrate that for you now. This plant should only be watered probably once every 2 weeks or so. Of course, that's going to be completely dependent upon your light setting. The more light this plant receives, the faster it will go through its water. You'll just have to gauge that for yourself. But it's definitely a plant that's better to be left unwatered for a few extra days than it is to overwater and drown this plant out. When watering the string of pearls, you're going to get a bowl, like a mixing bowl or a cereal bowl, whatever, and you're going to fill the bowl up with water, but not too much because you're going to be placing your pot inside this bowl of water. So you can kind of pull the tendrils away and set the pot right into the bowl of water. It will start to sink as the water absorbs through the holes in the bottom of this plastic pot. And in about a half an hour, we'll check on this to see the level of the water has gone down and the water has been absorbed into the soil and is completely saturating the whole root base. A lot of times when we water plants, we pour water over and that water finds the quickest tributary and just flows right on out of the plant, and the soil isn't allowed to absorb all that water. So this is just a surefire way to make sure you nailed it. Okay, so it's been about a half an hour and you can see the water level went down, and we can now throw out the extra water left in the bowl. You may lose some beads in this process, and that's okay. It's not the end of the world. Now that the plant is watered, we can return it to its hanger or to its shelf and let it get that photosynthesis going. It's very important to hang any succulent plants in a very bright window. East is fine, as long as there's not a lot of obstructions. South and west are ideal. In the summertime, south and west facing windows can actually be a little bit too intense for the pearls, so it's not a bad idea to maybe pull them back a little bit on a super hot day. Just keep an eye on it. I will know when it's time to water this plant again when it feels physically light. The soil will dry up and the whole plant will just weigh less. It's a nice way to just kind of feel it out and get in tune with your plant. The general rule I say is every 2 weeks, but everyone's homes are different and everyone's care routines are different, so just keep an eye on it and get in touch with your plant's needs. If it's been 2 weeks and you go to water this plant and you notice that the soil is still wet, that is because your plant is not getting enough sunlight. If your plant can't metabolize the water that you gave it in the sun setting that it is, then you need to make a change. It's also really important, however you hang this plant or wherever you place it on a shelf, you need to make sure that not only are the tendrils of the plant receiving sunlight, but also the top. These plants can go bald if they aren't receiving sunlight on the top. When the beads start to shrivel up here, it just creates a weakness in the whole string, and these can get pretty heavy, and you might find that a plant that's gone bald, full threads of beads are falling off. That's no good. But you can save those beads and propagate them in water and then replace them into the top of the plant, and you might be able to save your plant's life. Another thing to note about the string of pearls is in its wild habitat, it's actually a ground cover. So these would lay out flat along the ground, and every place where you see a bead, every little node here, roots can grow from every single node. So if you find that you want to replace some of the foliage that you may have lost on top, you can always snip off a piece of your pearls and literally just place it on top of some wet soil. It will shoot out roots and you'll be able to fill out the top again. Be sure to smell the blossoms too. They smell like cinnamon. It's so sweet. Now these blossoms, as with all blossoms, are temporary. They will look beautiful for maybe even a couple weeks, and they will eventually start to dry out. If you just leave them, they will eventually fall off on their own, but if you want to get rid of them and avoid any messes, you can go through and just clip off the blossoms as soon as they are spent. The string of pearls, the string of beads, the string of fish hooks, these are all plants in the Senecio family. And although there are some debates on the actual genus name, whatever, who cares? So that being said, the care for the Senecio radicans, the string of fish hooks, is pretty much exactly the same. Alright, that's the string of pearls. Good luck!